Good afternoon, honorable members, and to our honored guests, Commissioner Barkis and your team from the Public Service Commission. Also, good afternoon to our support staff. Thank you so much, honorable members, for taking the time to join us on this late Friday afternoon. Please indulge me. I'd like to switch off my camera for bandwidth. So, honorable members, without taking too much of time, I just want to move into the apologies. If Ms. Nondumiso can assist us there.
Greetings,
Are there
Chair.
any apologies?
Honorable members and colleagues, no, Chair, we don't have any apologies. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Nondumiso. Members, can I have a mover for the adoption of the agenda?
Comments, Chair?
Okay. Honorable Kunene, did you say something? Were you moving for the adoption of the agenda?
I was greeting you, Honorable Chairperson, and greeting honorable members. On apologies, I was reporting that Honorable Taylor is involved in a Sports and Culture Portfolio Committee oversight, and I second the adoption of the agendas. Honorable President is proposed.
Okay, thank you for that, Honorable Kunene. I do see Honorable Buthelezi online, so perhaps she is.
Oh, she managed to join. Thank you.
Yes, yes, that's correct. All right, thank you so much. Members, I just want to go into the purpose of this meeting. So the purpose of this meeting, the Public Service Commission is our constitutional body that looks at how the public service works, issues like ethics, professionalism, governance, and whether the state is serving people properly. Now, up to now, most of that work has focused on national and provincial departments. Today's engagement is about how the Public Service Commission plans to deepen its work in local government, in our municipalities and municipal entities. For us in KZN, where many municipalities are struggling and communities are feeling daily service delivery failures, this is very important. This is a very important conversation to have. We want to understand clearly what the Public Service Commission's role is in local government, how the environmental scanning project will be done, what kind of support and advice the Public Service Commission can offer municipalities, and how its work can strengthen, not duplicate, the oversight already done by this committee. Cogta, Treasury, Salga, and the AG. So we see this as a relationship building and learning session. We want to hear their plans, share our experiences from oversight visits and Section 132 hearings, and explore how we can work together to improve governance and service delivery in KZN municipalities. Now, Commissioner, welcome once again. Thank you to you and your team for joining us. And we look forward to the presentation, after which members will engage with you with comments and questions. You may proceed with your presentation. You're not audible, Commissioner. We can't hear you. Perhaps unmute.
Am I audible now, Chairperson?
Yes, we can hear you now. Please proceed.
Thank you so much, Chairperson. Thank you very much, and good afternoon, Honourable Chairperson and Honourable members of the Portfolio Committee on Cogta. Let me start by extending our gratitude as the PSC for the prompt response you gave to us to the Public Service Commission's request for this engagement. At the same time, let me appreciate the presence of the team that's supporting me today from the National Office and my office in KZN. I have with me on the platform today DDG of Labour Management Practices, Dr. Sedibe. She is trying to get in, having a little bit of connectivity trouble, but I'm sure she's going to get in very soon. Also with us is my acting PD of KwaZulu-Natal. PD means Provincial Director, Ms. Yoliswa Mshali. And we have deputy managers from both the head office and the KwaZulu-Natal office who will introduce themselves later. Honourable Chairperson and honourable members, as a brief background on the reason for this engagement, and you've already touched on it, and I appreciate that, I must bring to your attention that the PSC has been repositioning itself over the last year, especially following the Zondo Commission recommendations and the outcome of discussions we had with Honourable Justice Zondo. Now, much was raised in recent years in terms of how the PSC can further entrench itself in the ethics and the anti-corruption ecosystem, as well as to begin to address the challenges that are systemic to the local government sphere in particular, as well as public entities. So as the PSC bill, which has been around for a few years now, gained momentum during the seventh administration.
I just want to stop you there. Would you like us to flag that presentation?
Chairperson, not yet. The presentation will come through by DDG Sedibe.
Right,
so I'm just going to just to a few opening remarks, if you with your permission, Chairperson.
No problem at all. Thank you. Proceed.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. As I was saying, so as our bill got momentum in the seventh administration, we started to prepare to transition into extending our oversight over the local government sphere, based strictly on our mandates within Chapter 10 of the Constitution. So, only within our mandates. At the same time, we are also engaging and consulting a plethora of stakeholders involved in the local government sphere. So this is in preparation for the execution of our work in the sphere prior to and after the bill has been assented to and promulgated into law. We are absolutely hopeful that this will come through. The bill is currently, honourable members and honourable chairperson, is currently in Parliament. It's been approved by the National Assembly, and it's now at the stage where the National Council of Provinces is considering the bill, since it's a Section 76 bill, and that requires the concurrence from the majority of the 9 legislatures. So the presentation by DDG Sedibe and the team will provide further details on the direct objectives of the bill. Honourable Chairperson and honourable members, the PSC has had engagements with numerous stakeholders to date. We have to obviously set the scenario and tell you. We have met with the World Bank. We have met with the Minister of Cogta, the Minister of DPSA, the Portfolio Committee on Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, and that of Public Service and Administration, the Public Affairs Research Institute, popularly known as PARI, National Treasury, and the Local Government Sector Education and Training Authority, which is LGCETA, to mention just a few. We even went to KZN Executive Council and made a presentation in August this year. Honorable members, we will be having more one-on-one engagements with other stakeholders, such as executive councils in the provinces, provincial departments of Cogta, traditional affairs. We're having one with the MEC for Cogta next week on the 25th, the Auditor General's Office, etc., with a view to learning and to reflecting on different perspectives. And that is why we're even meeting with the Portfolio Committee today. We have also had several engagements with different provincial chapters of the South African Local Government Association, and we will be meeting the full national team soon. We are awaiting a date from them. So this environmental scanning and assessment of the local government space and the meeting of all the stakeholders, honorable members, is part of the building blocks where we are trying to develop the PC's abilities to provide an advisory guide on good governance for local government in the outer years. This is where we're going to go as well. Obviously, we'll have to find out what the challenges are first before we get on to producing good guides. And that is generally the work of the Public Service Commission, where we notice gaps and challenges. The Constitution of the Republic of South Africa enshrines a public administration that is accountable, that is transparent, and it must be orientated towards service delivery. And so since our inception, we have played a pivotal role in safeguarding these values with the national and provincial governments. And thank you, Chairperson, for recognizing our role in the two spheres of government. The extending of our mandate now to local government presents the PSC with an opportunity as well as a responsibility. Firstly, an opportunity to promote good governance and ethical leadership where services directly touch the lives of citizens. And then a responsibility to ensure that our interventions are coordinated, constitutionally compliant, and that we add value without duplicating what's out there already. So our shared objectives, our common goal is clear. We want to create and nurture municipalities that are not only financially sound, but also driven by the high standards of integrity, accountability, and service excellence to our people. And in order to achieve this, our collaboration must be underpinned by mutual respect for each institution's mandates over the local government sphere. Our efforts must be citizen-centered, and it must recognize that effective local government is fundamental in addressing poverty, inequality, and unemployment. Our engagements must also be solutions-oriented. So we must focus on practical mechanisms that will deliver measurable improvements. In concluding the opening remarks, Honorable Chairperson and Honorable Members, this engagement between ourselves marks the beginning of what we hope will be a robust, enduring, and mutually beneficial partnership between PSC and the Portfolio Committee on Cogta. We do look forward to frank discussions, to innovative ideas, and a shared commitment to ensuring the local government system truly serves our people. Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, and with your permission, may I request the PSC to make the detailed presentation.
Yes, thank you so much, Commissioner Barkas. I'm also advised by the media team that this meeting is being projected live. So if members and your team as well could just put on your video when speaking, we'd appreciate that. Thanks.
Lusani, I think DDG is having difficulty logging in. Are you able to
She is in the
project?
room.
She is.
Yes.
Wonderful. Can we project the
Yes.
presentation, please?
Yes.
Welcome, DDG. Perhaps, Chairperson, with your permission, we can allow the team members to quickly introduce themselves. I know it's a late Friday afternoon.
Yes, sure, no problem.
Thank you, Chairperson. DDG, your team first from National.
Good afternoon, honorable members, Commissioner, and colleagues from the PSC and the Portfolio Committee. I have switched on my camera, but for some reason it is blocked. As you can see, it is black there. I'm not sure what is going on. And by the same token, I am not able to share the presentation. Maybe if we can be given the right to share, if that is possible. Let me request my colleagues to introduce themselves quickly whilst we sort out the sharing. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioner Bacchus, the chairperson of today's session, Ms. Marlene, and all the honorable members of the KZN Cogta colleagues. My name is Rusani Mazivandila. I've also switched on my camera. I'm not sure, but I don't think I see what's happening. But I'm here. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Acting PD and our KZN team, may you introduce yourselves? Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioner. Good afternoon, Chairperson and honored members. My name is Yoli Swamchali from the KZN office. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Commissioner, I think in the interest of saving time, because it doesn't look like we are winning with showing our faces. Yes, we are definitely not winning. Maybe I should proceed with the presentation, Commissioner and members. If I could request the colleague helping us to share to please put the presentation in presentation mode.
Yes, please proceed, DDG. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much to my assistant. When I say next, please move to the next slide. If I can request you to go to the presentation outline. Next. All right, that is the broad outline of the presentation. I am not going to read it word for word. Our presentation is very brief, and I think the bulk of the background Commissioner has already alluded to it. I will only highlight a few aspects. If we can move to the next slide. Yes, this is the PSC's mandate, broadly speaking, coming from Section 196 of the Constitution, which is Chapter 10. And Commissioner has largely spoken to this particular mandate, but we want to bring to the honorable members what we refer to as the founding values, as well as the public administration principles. And those are the nice little blocks that can be seen there. Our argument as the PSC is the public administration values that appear in Section 195 of the Constitution. They need to be read in collaboration with the founding values of our Constitution, as well as other values and principles that are found in other parts of the Constitution. Most importantly, the PSC, in terms of Section 195 and 196, has the mandate to promote the CVPs across the entire public administration. If we can move to the next slide. Yes, very, very briefly, it's important, members, to note that the Constitution talks about one public service commission for the Republic, not a public service commission for the public service. And it is within that particular spirit that the PSC bill was developed, and it is within that spirit that in 2011, Parliament made a resolution that says the PSC must monitor the extent to which there is compliance with what we refer to briefly as the CVPs across the entire public administration. I will move over to the next slide. These are some of the products that the PSC has been delivering within the domain of the public service. The public service is not defined in the Constitution, members. It is defined in the Public Service Act as referring to national and provincial administrations, minus the SOEs and other organs of the state, minus local government. We do not really open up a lot of debates around that definition, but I think the current public service bill has tried to clarify that within public administration, there is a civil service or a public service that cuts across all spheres of government and organs of the state. So we have been doing quite a lot of this work, reports, research reports, guides, roundtable sessions, advocacy, fact sheets, guides, citizens forum, which in many instances have also included collaboration with local government and provincial government and other organs of the state, the promotions of the CVPs, which have largely been restricted to national and provincial, except in instances where we were invited by various municipalities through the provincial departments of Cogta. We also do a lot of inspections where we look at citizens' experiences of a public service from various institutions live through what we call announced and unannounced inspections. We also facilitate the performance assessments of heads of departments, only the DGs in the premier's offices in the provinces, as well as the DG in the presidency, but we do monitor compliance by all other HODs and DGs. So a lot of the work that we have been doing, it's in the areas of human resource management, which includes your recruitment, capacity development. We also deal with matters relating to labor relations, grievance management, complaints management, and then we also deal with a wide spectrum of issues around service delivery and evaluations or the impact of various programs of government. If we can move to the next slide, please. So the rationale for why the PSC bill was formulated in the manner in which it was formulated, we trace it back in addition to the Constitution to what we refer to as a resolution of Parliament that was taken on the 15th of November 2011 that I've already alluded to, that said we needed to monitor and report on how the administration of government, organs of the state and public enterprises in South Africa adhere to the CVPs. But in addition to that, members, we do refer to the fact that Section 195 did not assign any other institution to promote the CVPs except for the PSC. And I think it is the same spirit that was also taken in through what we refer to as the Public Administration Management Act, of which there is a PAMA bill now that is being reviewed, which clarifies the role of the PSC, the DPSA, Cogta, and various other parties within the space of the CVPs. So the PSC bill seeks to reinforce the mandate in terms of that resolution that was taken in 2011, but it is also in line with what we refer to currently as the professionalization framework for the public sector, which was adopted by Cabinet in 2022, because this particular framework applies to all organs of the state, to all spheres of government, and we are aware that within the local government space, SALGA and other parties have also been working very closely with NSG and the Cogta departments to implement this particular framework. Next slide. In this particular slide, members, I am not going to regurgitate what I have said, but we just want to indicate that the role of the PSC is founded in the Constitution. It is supported by various aspects of the Constitution if read within context broadly, but it is also a response to the call that has come from Parliament, the Auditor General, and other oversight structures around challenges that are being experienced in local government. We do know that there are pockets of excellence in local government, but by and large, there are major challenges that can be dealt with by all parties if we work in a collaborative manner. So I will move to the next slide again. So what we have said and what my commissioner has said is summarized in this particular slide. The little arrows at the bottom, it says we have been looking at national and provincial sphere, And even within those spheres, we were only looking at the administration departments, not the entities, the agencies, and the enterprises. And local government has always been a missing important part in the work that the PSC has been doing. And we believe that state entities and enterprises, they are embedded in all the spheres of government, local, national, provincial. And I am sure if we were to dig deeper, you will find that certain entities are established and then they also establish another special purpose vehicle. So this is what we are trying to deal with in totality. If we can go to the next slide. So the objectives of the Public Service Bill, Public Service Commission Bill, there's a number of objectives that are there in the bill, but we just want to highlight the key important ones to say these objectives are aligned with the aspirations and the objectives that were aligned in Chapter 13 of the National Development Plan. The bill seeks to strengthen the PSC in the manner in which the NDP said the PSC needed to be strengthened. And this strengthening would say the PSC will be able to perform its functions, roles, and responsibilities within municipalities and public entities, obviously, as Commissioner said, without necessarily duplicating or stepping on other agencies' mandates. We believe that collaboration is always the answer more than what is written in prescripts. So the PSC's involvement in all of these particular areas, we also believe it will contribute to the efforts that all other stakeholders are currently busy with of building a capable, ethical, and developmental state across all spheres and across all organs of the state. If we can go to the next slide. So the main aim and objective of especially these types of engagement and the engagement of today. And I am happy to hear that the Honorable Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee also made reference to the importance of learning and relationship building. Indeed, that is our overall purpose. Currently, we do not have tangible services that we can offer, but we believe that we need to learn and build relations with those who are operating in the space. We need to be guided by those particular stakeholders. So it is within this particular context that the PSC decided that instead of waiting for the bill to go through the whole process of being enacted into law, let us begin a process of learning from those who are in the space. Let us begin a process of building relationship with the institutions that are also going to empower us as PSC, institutions that will collaborate with us as we tackle the challenges of dealing with local government, but also trying to ensure a certain level of alignment and consistency across what is taking place at provincial, national, and local government to the limits of what is permitted by law and practice and the mandates of the different spheres. So I will move on to the next slide. So the scope of this project, I think Commissioner has already indicated what we have done so far. But broadly speaking, we understand that we need to engage with the national and the provincial portfolio committees and departments of cooperative governance and traditional affairs and any other institutions, as we will be guided especially by the departments of cooperative governance and the offices of the premier and the portfolio committees. But in addition, we believe that engaging with institutions such as your national and provincial treasuries is important because of the role they have been playing across the board. Hence, we have also engaged with the National Treasury, and we expect that our engagements the provinces as well will reach those particular institutions. We have had preliminary engagements with the Auditor General of South Africa. We will have much more structured engagements going forward with them to share information, to learn from them as well. But it's important for us to also deal with institutions like HSRC, PARI and the World Bank, because these are the institutions that are already collaborating with various stakeholders in the local government sphere, and they are doing a lot of research, policy analysis, capacity development, and so forth. So we also want to learn from them. Then there is the organized labor, which we will get to them when the time is right, as we will be guided by national and provincial departments based on the relationships that are operating, especially at the local government sphere. And only in 2026, 2027 members, we think we would have learned a little bit and we would have received enough guidance that says to us, how do you begin to talk to municipalities, the different types of municipalities in the different provinces? But that on its own is still part of the learning and relationship building. And as and when it is possible for us to share some of our generic products, we will be doing that. But at this current point, up to March, we do not see ourselves going to engage directly with any municipality whatsoever. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, there is a bit of a slowness on my side. Members, this is an example of some of what we call our products that can be shared without necessarily us claiming that these are talking directly to local government. We are talking about research findings where we have looked at local and international literature from public sector, private sector. We are talking about our methodology of the Citizens Forum, which is very much close with, I forgot the name, I think my commissioner knows it. There is a program of a robust engagement with communities in KZN. It is a methodology that is also closely related with that, but the PSC has been doing it in a slightly different way, so we can share and compare notes. We can share and compare notes around our tools and methodologies around service delivery inspections, which also are capable of delivering immediate results, but also bringing in different types of stakeholders, as is the case with the DDM model. And then we have the generic promotions of the constitutional values and principles, where we simply try to get all public servants to understand what these CVPs are about, how they shape our policies, our thinking, our practices, and everything that we do or we are not supposed to be doing, because it is the CVPs that have given birth to Batupili. It is the CVPs that have given birth to the Code of Conduct for Public Servants. So these are some of the generic products that we can share at the level of especially officials without imposing our findings, recommendations within the local government sphere. Thank you. The next slide. So as part of the learning and relationship building process, the PSC has been asking itself quite a number of questions. What are the optimally functioning areas in local government and what are the challenges? Because we recognize that there are areas of excellence and then there are challenges, but we cannot rely on what is reported in the media. Sometimes you have to engage with those who are involved in practice, and they are speaking from an informed perspective of also having data. What are the major risks that the PSC should be aware of, and what is being done to manage them? How will this affect the PSC as it plans to expand its oversight mandate in the local government sphere? who are the critical stakeholders that have an influence in this particular sector, and how do we engage with them? What are the protocols of engaging with them? Because we don't just want to go to anybody, we want to be guided on how to engage with particular stakeholders properly, and what can be done to improve the efficiency and responsiveness of municipalities in line with a number of framework that exists that seeks to promote governance, ethics, integrity, accountability, service delivery, and infrastructure development. And which stakeholders can we collaborate with, and collaborate on what? Without compromising or encroaching on each other's mandates. This is one of the questions that is raised often, and it forms an integral part of the criticism, especially by academics, of the PSC bill that is alleged to be overreaching. And obviously, part of our learning has been to participate in some of the ongoing processes of the local government white paper review as part of learning. And all we can say, members, is we are trying to swim and not sink. It is quite a lot for an institution that has not necessarily been in the space to also understand the complexities of the discussions and the debates around the white paper review. But we are glad that we do get invited by DCOC at National to participate and to just listen to the ongoing discussions and the debates. And above all, we then say, are we asking the right questions? And is our approach going to be good enough to help us to learn quickly and to build relationships quickly? Because we understand that the PSC does not have time to spend the next 4 or 5 years learning. We have to learn as fast as possible so that at least within a period of 24 months, we can begin to add a little bit of value here and there as the stakeholders also reach out to us for assistance. I'm just about to finish. If we can go to the next slide. In conclusion, we say local government plays an important role, and it is the closest level to the lives of ordinary people, including us sitting here. We are affected by local government. So we believe that the achievements and the failures or the challenges that are attributed to local government are attributed to all institutions and vice versa. Service delivery challenges, unfortunately, they are most visible at the local government level. Even if it is not the fault of local government, it's provincial or national, the inclination is members of the public are going to blame local government because they see the councillors, they see the MECs closer to them, they see the local government employees. So capacity challenges and unevenness in capacity are also prevalent in the local government sphere, and this was reiterated much more strongly in the NDP document, and I think it is an issue that has also been emerging from various other processes, including the local government white paper review. Not that it's all doom and gloom, but this is where the unevenness in capacity tends to be pronounced. Hence, we have also some of the audit outcomes that we have from the AG, although we are seeing quite a bit of an improvement. Therefore, it is important for us as PSC to say there is a lot that needs to be done, but we believe that the constitutional values and principles, irrespective of where one is finding themselves, this is one of the key common elements across all of us. If we can internalize this, because they are core to us understanding where we come from as a country and where we are going, we can begin to do certain things differently. Equally, the PSC, we say, because we are learning and building relationships, we request patience from ourselves to ourselves. We also request patience from stakeholders as we learn, because there will be expectations that we are not able to fulfill. But as much as possible, where we can share, where we can lend a hand, the PSC is willing to do so. In my very last slide, members, this is our request to the portfolio committee, my assistant. We want to request the portfolio committee to engage with some of the questions that we are raising, to give us more questions of issues we should be thinking about, and to direct us to other stakeholders who can help us to learn even more, because we believe that if we all work together, we can make a difference. And we request guidance and support as the PSC begins to engage with a range of other stakeholders, so that there is clarity that we are not just coming in a haphazard manner. There is a little bit of a methodological thinking in our process that we need to start at the high level before we can actually get to the practitioners on the ground. It is for this reason that the PSC believes that we all have a responsibility to make every municipality work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, DDG. Thank you for the presentation. And before I hand over back to the chairperson who's chairing, chairperson, just to recognize that in the meeting we have Mr. Sifiso Ngema from our national office and Poncho Sehababane. And we also have from our provincial office, Tuli Mugeba, who's our head of research, Mr. Clement Dlamini, who's the head of labor relations investigation, and Mr. Sabela Keswa, who's head of public administrative investigations. And they're all here joining us today to support us and to grow from our engagement today. Thank you, Chairperson. Over to you.
Thank you so much, and welcome to those members you've just mentioned. I think the presentation was a very good one, quite comprehensive, a lot for us to digest. And members, this is now your opportunity to make comments and ask questions. I'm going to take hands. Members, are there any questions or comments? I've got one, Honorable Basiela. Any other members? Honorable Kunene. Just see if I'm missing anyone else. All right, members, I'm going to close the questioning. All right, let's over to Honorable Basiela and then Honorable Kunene.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Commissioners, for your presentation, and DDG as well. It's our first contact with the Commission. So this is a question that I have for you. What powers does powers will this Commission have, or what powers will be given to Commissioners when faced with local government issues? For example, if there are constitutional violations, if there are Bill of Rights violations, if there are violations on cooperative government by members of the municipalities, would you have the power to receive that complaint? Secondly, then appoint investigators. What kind of investigators would you be empowered to then bring in forensic investigators? Where would those investigators come from? How independent would they be? And then once, for example, if you had to receive a report after the investigation is completed and you have concluded that there are violations, serious violations or not so serious violations, what happens thereafter? I think that people are so impatient with how clean governance is not coming to being. It's too slow. Changes are made too slow, and commissions take a long time. So how do we get to prosecution? Or alternatively, at an internal level with local government, would you be in a position to at least recommend and then and with those recommendations like immediate suspension of contracts, especially of PPPs, of those contracts being suspended, or officials, even if it's a mayor, deputy mayor, councillors, would you have the power to do that? We need to clean up the rotten government. And how far does the PSC go towards doing this? And how far would the bill go because of the fact that the rotten government needs to be cleaned up? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Basiela. Let's take Honorable Kunene.
Thanks, Honorable Chairperson. Greetings to the PSC delegation led by the Provincial Commissioner. Thanks the presentation from the TTG. Just one wishes to appreciate the presentation that has been made to us, and the fact that we are regarded as a critical stakeholder in kind of the evolution of this process of introducing this bill to the local government sphere. But just one wonders, how are we going to ensure that the government as an institution functions efficiently? Because there is a perception that when you compare government and the private sector, the private sector is more effective in its operations than what the government sector. One just wished that we would perfect the functioning of government, introducing the necessary efficiencies in both the national and provincial sphere, so that when it is rolled out to or extended to the local government, we have good lessons that we can learn from that. So just one who makes a point that we need to change the perception of the South African citizen in terms of how efficient government is operating, so that we are able to say we've perfected that system and we are rolling it out to the local government sphere. Clearly, as the report stipulates, the local government sphere is closest to the people. There's a lot of things that are not going right in local government. Urgent interventions need to be put in place to perfect the functioning of local government. So the idea of professionalizing the civil service, extending it to the local government is laudable. But just one wishes to express one's concern in terms of the attitude or the experience of the South African voter when it comes to receiving services from any government institution. How soon are we going to turn that around so that the government delivers efficiently and effectively, and systems are put in place in order to ensure that those who are employed by the three spheres of government render the services to the satisfaction of the populace of our country. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Kunene. Before I hand over to Commissioner Bacchus and a team to respond, I just have one or two things to raise with you. Now, as a portfolio committee, one of the main concerns we've had is the slow pace at which Section 106 investigations have been dealt with. And so we've even called for a presentation from the department to the committee to help us understand how these Section 106 investigations are dealt with, what the challenges are, and so on. And we've discovered, we've actually been told by the department, that one of the key problems has been not being able to hold municipalities to account, or not being able to compel them, rather, to make the changes that is required. So we're not getting cooperation with municipalities. They're not cooperating with the AG, they're not cooperating with the Department of Cogta, they're not cooperating with the provincial legislature. We've reached a place where we feel, from our conversations, I can gather that we feel as though the municipalities are now a law unto themselves. And so perhaps you can just come in and explain how this will work towards remedying this situation. And then also from our Section 132 hearings that we've conducted in some of the municipalities, we found that one of the most common thread amongst these municipalities was poor consequence management. And so that is a concern for us. How can the Public Service Commission make a positive impact in regard to this, the situation, the current status quo in terms of municipalities? And we'd also like to know what kind of support and information you would require from our particular portfolio committee going forward, so that we could also better serve you in fighting against corruption and so on in our municipalities. Thanks, Commissioner, over to you.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson and Honorable Members. And we really appreciate the engagement and the questions that are rising. And some of it is also pointing us, as DDG asked, to things that we have to tease out perhaps as we move forward. But starting with Honorable Basiela, in terms of our powers, what powers we have as a commission, we don't operate like for example, the independent commissions established by the president, but we operate in terms of Chapter 10 and our powers there in Section 195 and 196, which is really to look at the interests of maintaining an effective and efficient public administration and a high standard of professional ethics. And then, working with the organs of state to propose measures to ensure effective performance, efficient performance, to give directions and to ensure that, the procedures are in place, etc. So we do give advice to national and provincial organs, and those will remain our powers. Through the bill, we're not getting superficial powers outside the mandate or anything that doesn't align to the mandate in the Constitution that we're given, and we will then exercise the very same powers over local government, except for where we are asking in this bill for our recommendations and our directives to be made final. And I think this is the challenge with us, not just when we go forward with local government, but it is even the challenge with us currently. PSC's recommendations, departments are not compelled to implement it, but we have had recently at least 3 case outcomes and case rulings or judgments, I should say, that have actually said that PSC as a constitutional body should not be ignored and that their recommendations and directives should be taken into account. And therefore, the PSC bill is looking to entrench that. So our powers will be around that. In terms of how we can work on good governance, Honorable Member, earlier on in my opening remarks, I was speaking about we are looking to find out what is it we need to target. And one of the things we want to do as time rolls is to prepare some kind of good governance guide. And we do that. As the Public Service Commission has various guides over the last 20 so years that we prepared for government in support of what DPSA is trying to achieve or what any other department is trying to achieve around ethics, professionalism, efficiencies, effectiveness, the administrative and executive interface, all those things. We have a lot of guidelines around that. And so obviously we'll be looking to produce that guide that will help. Sometimes officials are deliberate in their actions. They say a crime is either through an act or an omission, and some are omitting to take action. And so the guide will then put them, obviously in a process. And for those who don't know how to take things forward or are scared to take things forward, the guide will definitely guide them. In terms of investigators, We have our own in-house well-trained investigators, but if we start to get to the point where we need to get into forensic levels, then depending on what the scenario is, we will then refer to our how must I say, our institutions supporting democracy, our sister organizations, or if you want to say brother organizations, that's the Public Protector's Office, and we do that even now, the SIU, and the SIU has just opened a brand new training academy. We are looking to also send our investigators to the SIU to get advanced investigative power training. And if it gets to the point where we have to bring in an external team, then we will decide on the team, and the municipality at which we are going to execute that investigation, they will have to foot the bill. So we will be looking at that kind of, depending on what the nature of the cases are, we will take those decisions. And these are some of the things we are teasing out as we're going forward. And I'm really pleased that these matters are being raised, because these are the things that we have to put into consideration as the bill will come into effect. In terms of the report, once PSC makes a report, our first boss or point of reporting is legislatures in the provinces and the National Assembly, the National Parliament. So we report directly there. All our reports will have to be tabled there, besides being tabled obviously to the municipality, etc. And how do we get that? One of the things I've said, just recently we were in the Appropriations Committee at National Parliament. It was last week, Wednesday. And the debate about our powers and our ability to compel departments to do or not do what we are recommending, we spoke about the power of a portfolio committee. Where we fall short and we cannot compel a department to do something, we can present it to the portfolio committee, who can debate on it and see what the value of our recommendations or directives, and then who can then, with the department in their presence, convert that into a resolution of the committee and of Parliament or of legislature. And that gives us the oomph and the power to have these things taken forward. And that's something we can explore in the meantime while we're waiting for our bill to be passed. And that's something that could also be explored when we present our reports to the legislature to say, okay, now we have this report, it's on this particular municipalities, we take it to the Cogta portfolio committee, and then we see how the department can start to move and facilitate, improvements or whatever the recommendations are. So for now, it's going to be a lot around cooperative governance on that. Just to say also that, we have, as I said, we work with other institutions, but what I must say is we don't investigate the executives or the executive arena. We don't investigate politicians directly, because this is the domain of the reliant parliamentary structures. We have detailed rules and processes. We deal with situations, and we have mechanisms where we can present things objectively and prevent subjectivity. And a lot of our matters are even referred to the Human Rights Commission. And so, so I think I've kind of covered that, and especially in entrenching our recommendations, which have to be teased on. There's a lot of work to be done there, and I'm glad Honorable Basel has raised that. And it will always be that constructive tension where we give the directives and then there will be a pushback, but we'll have to keep pushing. Honorable Gunene, thank you for your questions and your kind comments as well. How do we ensure that our institutions are effective? And one of the things I'm really hopeful about is the fact that the professionalization framework is now gaining momentum. It sat around for a while. It was being designed. The PSC was instrumental in working with DPSA, DPME, National School of Government around developing the professionalization framework. In particular, our leader, our chairperson, Professor Somadota Figeni, who was sitting on the core committee, was appointed to develop that professionalization framework. It is not a pie-in-the-sky framework. It's very practical. At some stage, if the portfolio committee does want us to come and present on that, we will also present just 5 pillars that will make a difference. It will start to fix recruitment and other processes and professionalization, cut out the unnecessary deploying of people who do not have expertise, etc. And of course, to introduce lifestyle audits. that professionalization framework is applicable also to the local government sphere of government. We do have also, Honourable Member, our own in-house training models on professional ethics, integrity, etc., which we will then, working with every municipality, go and improve capacity to see how we can fix efficiencies and effectiveness, etc. And a lot of monitoring, a lot of M&E work, and a lot of research work goes. We do announced visits and unannounced visits, announced inspections, unannounced inspections, own accord inspections as well, where we not necessarily have to be told. We see something come up from somewhere. We don't wait around. We find that there's a new phenomenon creeping up. We get in and we do an own accord investigation. So we will have to put all those things into gear. I think, Honourable Gunene, you raised a very, very important point of changing perceptions of the people and building trust, because the breakdown and the deficit in trust between government and the citizens has never been bigger than now. It was the center of my discussion with the Premier 2 days ago, where we went and met the Premier to speak about, our concerns over the financial irregularity, especially with bids, etc. And of course, other issues and you've raised them, consequence mentioned, etc. And these are the things that we believe that the leadership can drive. And we will have to obviously speak to the leadership about how they're going to lead from the top on this. The breakdown in trust between us as government, or rather government and the citizens, is something that has to be worked on. And it cannot rebuild itself when we keep getting reports, media articles, tangible reports, where departments are just collapsing and municipalities are collapsing, and there are all kinds of scandals around financial irregularities and corruption and procurement integrity. So procurement integrity is going to be key to fixing efficiencies. And we are also saying that once you start to digitalize supply chain management processes, then you're able to trace the culprit and apply the rules of law. And that's very important. We have in our country, sadly, something that was designed many years ago, more than 10 years ago, called the IFMS, Integrated Financial Management System. Now, I'm also a former functionary. I've served more than 23 years in government. And I can tell you that IFMS was an absolutely amazing model. Good funds were put into it. I think SARS also was guiding the process as well to how we can keep it very sterile. Unfortunately, up to now, IFMS has not been implemented. Had we put it in place, it would have made that change. And I'm not the only one to say that. We've had the former DG in the presidency who says that all the time. The head of the NSG, Prof. Busani Ngweni, he's also spoken to it. If not the IFMS, then some new system where we are able, every country is doing that. Every advanced country who's got anti-corruption measures and is cleaning up and doing procurement integrity measures, they have digitalized systems. You get a code as a user, and when something goes wrong, you can detect it from a user. So we are high on that sort of thing, digitalization, and we'll obviously have to work on that. But when gains are made, then we must report to the public. And we must be able to build that trust. But as long as we keep having these breakdowns, we will not be able to build trust. Like I said, we will obviously roll out the Good Government Guide. What we also do have, honourable members, is the ability to lobby for policy change and for reform. And we will certainly be doing that. We do that with the DPSA regularly. We also lobby with Treasury, etc., and other departments. And we've seen the impact of the Public Service Commission's lobbying. So, may I continue, Chairperson?
Members, please can you mute? I'm not sure who is, if you could assist Ms. Nondamiso, with just muting those that are not supposed to be participating. Please do continue, Commissioner.
Thank you, Chairperson. Also in KwaZulu-Natal in particular, we have what is called the Citizen Satisfaction Survey. Now, I myself was a functionary at the time when we introduced it in the Office of the Premier under the branch of policy planning. We need to get back to that. We need to, in order to build our trust with the citizens, and also to look at the attitude and what the citizens are really concerned about, we need to re-engage the Citizen Satisfaction Survey. So when it comes to consequence management, Honorable Chair, disciplinary codes are being strengthened, and the Auditor General has been strengthened to ensure that those involved in financial misconduct are personally liable. We just saw an article today that came out. I can just quickly go onto my phone and look onto one of our commission WhatsApp groups where it was mentioned that a municipal, I'm trying to find it now. Oh yes, here it is. Municipal manager must personally pay for inflated tender after AG's landmark ruling. And this is absolutely amazing, because I think we're getting to the point now where AG is coming in with all their powers to then make sure that people are liable for overpayment linked to anything or any other kind of financial irregularities. So we thank the Auditor General for that. She's using her expanded powers now to issue what she calls a certificate of debt, a COD, that makes a municipal manager personally liable for millions of rands in losses and overpayments. So this links up also with what I said earlier. We will be working with our Chapter 9 institutions, etc. And where we don't have the powers, the necessary institution will be referred the matter and they will take up the powers. I think also in terms of the Section 106 investigations, I think we're going to have to look into that. And I thank you for raising that, because if municipalities at whatever level, whatever coding, district, local, whatever, are not taking the advices or the recommendations or the directives from legislature or listening to the concerns, then we really have a problem. And that's where the PSC will have to step in and see, how do we bridge this? What are we going to look at? Does it call for policy change? Does it call for legislative review? That sort of thing. And that is what we can then recommend and drive, because we obviously report straight to the president as well on that. I think that would also speak to the issue of the Section 132 hearings. But whatever we can do to develop guidelines to assist also officials to execute their duties and responsibilities in the local government sphere better, we will try and do that. I'm not sure if I've covered, Honorable Chairperson, all that is we asked, but let me also open up to other colleagues supporting me, DDG and team, if you wish to add to what I've elementarily said. Thank you, Chairperson.
Commissioner, from my side, I am covered. Thank you. Through you, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody from the KZN team wish to add? I don't see any hands yet. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. Members, do you have any other questions that you'd like to raise? None. Okay, just wanted to see Honorable Basiela. Before I give you an opportunity, Honorable Basiela, just wanted to more questions from myself. In terms of political interference at local government, how would you deal with that? What is your plan in approaching this? And then, speaking about Section 106 hearings, we did have two cases in KZN that were lost by the Department of Cogta. I think it was Zululand District and the Abakhuluzi municipality. Cases were lost, and the response that we got from the department was that the Public Service Commission had said that the investigations were not conducted in the proper manner. Since then, the Department of Cogta has come up with the Investigations Integrity Management Bill. Not sure if I've got the exact wording correct, but that's the bill that they've come up with, which is in the pipeline. Do you think that this was needed? And do you foresee that this bill is going to be helping us in KZN in terms of our Section 106 investigations? And then also, recently we were in the Zululand District and we tried to restore confidence in the community in terms of, government now dealing with corruption and maladministration at local government level by firstly this bill that I'm talking about, the Investigations Integrity Management Bill, and also the professionalization of local government. So we did try to restore public confidence in government by explaining these two things that are in the pipeline. What are your comments in regard to this? Before I hand over to you, Commissioner, I'll just take Honorable Basiela. Honorable Basiela? And then I see Honorable Madlopa as well. Let's just give these two members and then you can respond and round up and we'll bring the meeting to a close. Honorable Basiela?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Commissioner. The question I have, or it should be a follow-up question, I suppose. Who appoints the commissioners? How will they be appointed? Will it be the existing commissioners, or will there be a new set of commissioners for a new kind of extension of your function? And how do we ensure independence, especially political independence of the commissioners? And then the other question, which I think you have answered, but not completely, will a hearing be held? Will evidence be then led at a hearing, or will it be, or do you decide only on paper, on submissions that are made? Yeah, that I suppose is an important question. And then would you have the powers to terminate if there was a complaint about a contractor or a company or a sale and that needs to be set aside? Would you have the power to do that? Or is that out of your jurisdiction? And then you mentioned lifestyle audits, which is so critical. Thank you for that. It was something I was meant to ask as well. How much of power do you guys have? It's so easy. You find a government person, living in a house that's purchased for 70 million, and then the writing's on the wall. How does somebody who earns a salary of 1.5 or 1.6 million per annum afford that? Either you won it in a lotto, or you received a good benefit from an estate, or you were paid by some person that you helped facilitate a contract. So lifestyle audits are so important. How will you do that? And how does the public, or how do we refer, whenever something is flagged and you can see, well, this really needs a lifestyle audit? Or can it be kind of mandatory? Everybody has to subject themselves to a lifestyle audit? Yeah, that's it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Basiela. Honorable Madlopa?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Greetings to the Commissioner, EDG, and your entourage name. We really appreciate the presentation of partnership that we have to forge together and share experiences on the challenges that we have experienced in local government. I think one of the challenges the Chair has raised it regarding Section 106. What I want to check, we appreciate also that you'll cover all the spheres of government now. But what I want to check, I know that you have been having the challenge of capacity in regard to the staff and so on. In this bill that is coming, are you going to have more budget to cover the local government? Because we have got a lot of government, like in KwaZulu-Natal, we have got like 250 something municipalities. If we have to work with us in playing oversight, because we don't go directly to the municipality, we oversight the department, and then they bring the reports to us. But I want to check on the issue of capacity, because we are doing a very good job of the extension to the last year of government. How are you going to have a capacity to extend to the local sphere of government? Because even now, if we invite, like in our province, we have got the commissioner trying her best, to cover here and there when we invite her with her staff. But now extending it to the local government, I see the challenge for how are you going to cover that to the bill if we are now extending, because extension of work also it must be followed by the budget. But thank you very much, Commissioner, for the good work you are doing for our province, and also the DDG to really cover such an informative presentation to us. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Honorable Madlopa. Over to you, Commissioner, to just respond and make some closing remarks. Thanks.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson, and thank you, Honorable Members, for the further inquiries and the new inquiries. Honorable Chairperson, with regards to Section 106, I'm so glad we had this meeting because we are now picking it up. I'm picking up for the first time that this is such a burning issue. And obviously, we'll have to go back to the office and speak with our legal team and start to get into how we can look at the issues that are coming out, the challenges that you have raised around this. But just to point out that our investigations are done mostly through research, through interviews, to evidence that is presented, documentary analysis and inquiries. We're an evidence-led organization. We don't do hearings per se, because this is largely the domain of commissions that are established by the president. But in looking at how we're going to approach our models with local government, we'll have to look at it, although we will not be able to have the kind of hearings that the president would set up. We might have our own ways of investigation, not necessarily being called a hearing of that nature. And I think that's going to be very important. There'd have to be a lot of legal exploration around it. That's what I can say at the moment. What I am pleased about is the fact that there is this draft bill. We haven't got into the details of it. We are obviously going to let our legal advisors also give us their opinion. We always get their analysis of what's coming up that affects government. We haven't got the analysis yet. But what I can say is I am pleased that based on what we have said in terms of, the investigations were not being conducted in a proper manner by the PSC, that is leading to some, obviously policy reform, policy change, or even new policies or bills that are coming out. It really pleases me to see that it's going at least in that direction. And yes, the issue, my comments in the public trust, is going to be an issue that you'll face regularly. As an example, we go to schools and we do inspections. And one of my passions is looking at the pit latrine situation in the province. When we go to the schools and we say, how can children be using the same system today, called in a fancier name, pit latrines, something that I used, I won't say how many years ago, because that will tell you my age. I'll be giving away, but many, many years ago. And it is the saddest thing ever. And when we go to do these inspections, you find some schools cooperate so well with us, and other principals will just say, this is just another team that's coming, like the legislature, this portfolio team came, and this departmental team came, and a national team came. So that breakdown in trust, that trust deficit is based on the fact that we explore, but we can't get departments to go and fix so that we can then remedy the situation, and communities or agencies can then see, hey, by the way, the team came here, something moved, and some relief was in. Of course, we are making a lot of inroads as PSC. Recently, we managed to get a Home Affairs Service Center moved into new premises. We managed to also get infrastructure, lots of infrastructure repairs done after the floods, based on the constant pressure and the tough letters we write to different departments. But it is the ability to keep pursuing these matters that's going to help us to build public trust, and to not step away from it and not lie or deny. Because when you start to deny, and that's where the trouble starts. Communities have got to the point, citizens have got to the point where they are really frustrated. And we saw at the last national election, a voter turnout was so low, and we don't know what it's going to be like in November next year. So, it's a constant, it's like a revolving door, because here we go, we analyze, we make the recommendations, and how do we get departments to be compelled to execute or fix or take our recommendations forward. And it's something we have to tease out both in your sector as an oversight agency and our sector. But here's the thing, there is hope. If we look, looking back to what I just said earlier in terms of what the AG is doing, maybe we should also explore as oversight agencies, what's the last extent of, the last outpost we can get to get our recommendations taken. So it's a lot of building blocks to get there, Honorable Chairperson. Honorable Basiela, who appoints the commissioners to the Public Service Commission? It's the President. Will we be looking at extra commissioners? Yes, it might require that, or it might not require that. We are currently working on a transitioning model, and we'll obviously be getting some experts in to guide us on that, and that's why we are talking to various stakeholders. We will have to improve our capacity. I might even be covering Honorable Madlopa at the same time. Our chairperson, our DG, and ourselves as commissioners, we've had meetings with the finance minister, and there will be obviously facilities to obviously improve our financial and human resources capabilities to deal with the sector of government. It's not going to be in a one fell swoop. It's not going to be a magic wand. We may have to start in different stages. Do we start at local municipal level? Do we start at district municipal level? And we go and as we increase our capacity, we extend our powers as far as we can. So it'll have to be a staggered and a well-staged approach to that. And we will have to obviously not just look at just increasing warm bodies, but we'll have to look at how we attract experts on this sphere of government to come and work with us and to employ them so that they can also obviously be experts on looking at the policies and the practices of local government. So we are busy currently with the transition model. We had a huge strat plan recently, and the teams are working on a transitional model. And at the same time, the chairperson and us as commissioners are then talking to the necessary authorities at national government to see how we're going to push forward with that. And at some stage, there will be a model that comes out. In terms of the powers to terminate services, no, I don't think we'll have that kind of power. We don't currently have it, and we're not looking to give ourselves additional powers. What we will have the powers to do, similar to what we are doing now, is when we find that there's something that's irregular, we will then write directly to Treasury to say, we recommend that this happens. And then it's up to Treasury to then implement. And so we will have to look at what is the authority then that we can write to in the local government sphere, in a council, and say, this is our recommendation, and then how they take it forward. Unfortunately, there's no law that compels anybody to do that. We'll have to work around that. And if we work out that there is a gap in legislation, like I said earlier, then we will recommend augmenting the legislation or a review of the legislation so that it can close the gap. And it'll be a lot of work, but like our chapter 10 says, one has to serve without fear, favor, or prejudice, and be brave enough to, pursue these things. In terms of lifestyle audits, we're really pleased. We've been speaking about this for a long time as a commission. And now with Honorable Buthelezi there as the MPSA, the Minister of Public Service Administration, he's driven the first round of lifestyle audits. He's, I think, given to National Cabinet the results of it. It was out recently. And I think that we will get to the point where we'll have to then engage the Minister of Cogta to see how he then starts to drive the same thing at a local government level. These are, lots of things that we have to start to work on. And it's definitely something in that sphere that really needs a lot of work and has to be implemented, because even the kinds of salaries, you'll find that there's outrageous salaries, yet the audit collapsed, and it's really bad. So in terms of when you're faced with some of these difficulties and challenges, I think that when the legislature is not pleased, it can refer back to the PSC. And depending on whether it exists within our mandates and powers, we can then take it up. And if it doesn't exist within our mandates and powers, then the onus is also on us to then send it to where it can be investigated further, public protector, SIU, etc. I have one such case, and I can't mention it here now, but there is a portfolio committee that had some response to an investigation in the province, was not pleased with it at all, and then referred it to the Public Service Commission to say, Public Service Commission, we are not at all pleased with the response on this. However, we are now requesting you to please do your own investigation. And I roped in 2 investigators from National. We did our own independent investigation. We concluded the investigation. I think it was just last month. We sent the report back to the committee. So where the legislature is stuck and where you want to then explore something going further, then it can be referred to the commission, and together we can work on where it should go in terms of where it belongs. Also to mention perhaps the public sector integrity management framework. The DPSA has a detailed public sector integrity management framework. It does set standards and procedures for ethical financial disclosures and the management of misconduct, corruption within the public service, etc. And then we have what is called the National Anti-Corruption Strategy, which is supposed to be driven from the presidency down. And this strategy focuses heavily on prevention, on early detection, on integrity management, strengthening governance across sectors, etc. And there is specific anti-corruption legislation and related bills that are active right now, and recently, and those that have been recently passed is the NPA amendment, the IDAC bill, which makes the investigating directorate, take things forward. We have been working very closely with DPSA and other structures on our public sector integrity framework and the anti-corruption strategy as well. So yes, we do support the frameworks as well as the implementation of the much contested lifestyle audits. So I'm hoping I covered you, the honourable member, in terms of yours. And then Honourable Madlopa, thank you very much, ma'am, again for your kind words. And I forgot to mention, and I did mention that the commission is appointed through that process. And we obviously go through the legislature. The legislature advertises the position. There's a committee that's put together of multi-parties. They invite the candidates to interviews. The names are recommended to the Premier. The Premier then makes a recommendation to the President. And then the President has a stringent process where his legal advisors will do a whole load of verifications and validations and security checks, etc. And then once the President is comfortable and his advisors are comfortable, it'll be signed in, and then one gets the letter of appointment. Honourable Madlopa, thank you so much for your kind words. And yes, the first thing we worried about was the challenge of the capacity. I'm not sure if I've covered it and you're pleased with it in terms of our transition plan and all our discussions with the Minister of Finance, as well as DPSA. We even spoke to the Appropriations Committee last Wednesday, and there was that question around that as well. How are you guys going to do this? And we will get support. And the Appropriations Committee was quite pleased to support us. And as I said, there will be a transitioning plan, honourable member, so that we could attack this whole big assignment before us stage by stage. We are not deluded about how big and enormous the task is, but at the same time, it is a very necessary step that we have to take and move forward. Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. I see another hand up. That's why I didn't conclude.
I think that's an old hand, Honourable Vasila. That is an old hand.
Yes, it is an old hand. Sorry, I didn't put it back. Obviously, I have more to say, but it's not appropriate. It would probably. It's about the independence of the president. President can't.
Okay.
Point.
Thank you so much, Commissioner, to you and your team for the presentation and the responses. I think that we've gained quite a lot during this short meeting. And I look forward to, together with the Portfolio Committee, engaging with the Public Service Commission going forward. I think that your input will be extremely valuable to the work of the committee. And likewise, we'd like to assist you as well wherever we can as a Portfolio Committee. Honourable members, thank you so much to you as well for giving up your afternoon time. I do understand it's been a very long day, so I just want to wish you well and wish all of you an enjoyable weekend. Thank you so much. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, honorable members. Thank you to the team.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.